guys, Isaac here coming at you with a brand new series. We are going to take a deep dive into this series. It's a new series that I have developed and come up with myself. The series is going to be called The 9 Steps of Christian Sobriety. These 9 steps, this 9 or more part series that I'm going to be diving into with you is something deeply personal to me. Everyone's heard of a 12-step program. Everyone knows the 12 steps of AA. These 9 steps are maybe somewhat similar, but they're also vastly different. And these 9 steps are something that's changed my life. It's what changes my life today. Today, this is going to be part 1 and step 1. And the title for today, the first step 1, is choose. If you're watching this video, it means that you have had some sort of interaction with addiction. It means that your life is affected by addiction, or you know someone affected by addiction, or you are being affected by addiction. You, your friends, your family, or even the state has told you that there's a problem. There's a problem in your life that you need to address, that you need to change. I have been there. I am an addict. I am an alcoholic. I've been there and I know what addiction is. Addiction is something that can be really hidden. Addiction is deceptive. The definition of deception is forcing someone to believe or making someone believe something that is not true. That's deception, and really that is addiction at its core. I have found that addiction most often pushes people in 2 directions of deception. Number 1 being denial. I don't have a problem. There's a lot of people, and I was one of those people, who are so tied up in addiction, but yet they are so deceived with denial that they have no idea that they have a problem. Look at your life. Is there some behavior, some substance, some thing you do that damages your life? It might look, and you might think that it enhances your life, like going to a bar on Friday night, like spending money online shopping. Those things want to make us feel good. And when we're in that feel good place, we're in denial. When we trade what is right and what is good for making our personal life better, making us feel good, it's denial. It's saying, I don't have a problem, I just want to do this. It's addiction. And you're caught in a web of lies when people around you are saying there's a problem, and you say, I don't have a problem. If other people acknowledge that there's a problem in your life, you have to acknowledge that too. The second way that addiction can deceive us is with shame. Shame is where you say, I am the problem. So maybe you're beyond the point of denial and you recognize, okay, I do have a problem. I do use this substance, I do this thing, and it needs to change. Shame brings you to the lowest point of your life and says that you can't change. And we beat ourselves up with that. It leads to helplessness, hopelessness, self-criticism. And it's actually a lower view of yourself, whereas denial is a higher view of yourself. Change starts with a real and accurate view of yourself. Beating addiction starts with seeing yourself in the light of reality. Funny thing about these two things, shame and denial, is they are both internal perceptions of ourself. We either like ourselves and we're in denial, or we hate ourselves and we're in shame. Can I tell you, as long as you look at yourself, into yourself for an answer, for a solution, you won't change and you won't beat addiction. Step one is to choose. I'm going to break this step, this decision to choose, into 4 parts today. Number 1, choose to see the problem. So I said denial and shame both come from an internal perception. Self is actually the catalyst of addiction. Why do you use this substance? Because it gratifies yourself. It makes you feel good. And it does feel good. That's real. I have not physically felt better than when I was high or drunk. That's real. And there is no denying that. And you shouldn't deny that. Once you have tasted that drug, you know. That's why it's hard to beat, is because it is a synthetic version of peace and joy and happiness and contentment. That's what you're looking for. Choosing to see the problem means looking at yourself like a mechanic looks at a car. So say that you are a car, right? And maybe the driver is saying, hey, there's a problem with this car. Maybe a police officer says, hey, there's a problem with this car. When you take the car to the mechanic, it's the mechanic's job to look at all of the evidence surrounding the claim of a problem. The mechanic doesn't ask the car, hey, do you think you have a problem with yourself? The mechanic finds the problem, and he uses the evidence given to him to find that problem. We have to look at the problems in our lives. We have to look at the evidence of our lives, the people around us, the laws. What are you doing that is contrary to what is right? Right in the eyes of the law, right in the eyes of God, right in the eyes of goodness. But we don't look at it from the view of the car. We look at it from the view of the mechanic. You have to get outside of yourself to see the problem. And you have to use real, physical, tangible, touchable, seeable evidence to see that. The car won't fix itself either. Once the mechanic knows the problem, he could find a solution. But it's the mechanic's job to see the problem. He takes what people tell him, he takes what he finds, he takes the symptoms, and he combines them all, and he lets the evidence show there is a problem. Step 1 to choose is choosing to see the problem. Get outside of yourself. Look at real evidence, not feelings. Look at real evidence of your life. What's wrong? What's really wrong? And if you look at that, you will see. Don't deny what you see. Don't live in shame for what you see. The mechanic isn't ashamed because a car's broke down. And the mechanic doesn't deny that there's a problem. Acknowledge. Choose to see the problem. Number 2, choose to believe there is a solution. So once we see the problem, we have a choice. We have to choose to believe there's a solution to this problem. If you can admit, okay, there is a problem in my life. Maybe I don't even feel that way. Maybe I don't want to face that, but there is. You see the problem, not as the car, but as the mechanic. You can then choose to believe there is a solution. See, when the mechanic looks at the problem, he looks at the car. Maybe that's a really, really significant problem. Maybe it's going to take some serious repair work. But the mechanic doesn't throw his hands up and say, well, yep, there's a problem and that's it. No, it's the mechanic's job to fix the car, to fix the problem. The mechanic can't do that unless he believes there's a solution. That might require a ton of work. If the motor in a car is junk, it's going to take hours. It's going to take money. It's going to take effort. It might take learning, growing, choosing to adapt yourself to have new skills. But you can't do that unless you choose to believe that there is a solution. If you are trapped in addiction, struggling with addiction, and wanted to ever get out, the resources and abilities you have used up until now have failed. The solution is going to come from outside of yourself. You have to look at the problem as the mechanic. The car won't fix itself. The mechanic will. The mechanic will fix the car. The mechanic will choose to believe there is a way to fix it. And painting over a scratch on the door is not going to fix a broken motor. Choose to believe there is a solution to the problem. Number 3, choose to take on the challenge. So maybe right now you see there's a problem, you believe there might be a solution out there. Maybe you don't know the fix. Maybe you don't know how to fix a broken motor, and the evidence of your life probably points to that right now. You've tried things and failed. You've had relapses. You're in addiction right now, and you don't know how to get out. Yep. Beating addiction is the hardest thing you will ever do, because it is a fight. It is going to war to fight this problem. Sobriety isn't a mountaintop. With you looking at your life right now, you see a problem, you're hoping for a solution. And what is at the end of that path? A mountaintop, climbing the mountain to reach some sort of ease now that you can relax because you've hit the mountaintop. That's a lie. That's a lie that's actually going to set you up for a massive letdown. Beating addiction is a challenge. And in my experience, it is a challenge, it is a battle that does not have an end. Because when you believe that you've had it, you've got it licked, you've won the battle, you've reached the mountaintop, what happens when you have a temptation? What happens when you mess up? What happens when emotional circumstances, or you don't feel good, or whatever it is, brings you to a place where you lose, or where you want to lose? Sobriety isn't a mountaintop, it's a daily fight. I will say this a million times. Sobriety is not when you want to be sober. Being sober is easy when you want to be sober. Sobriety is only sobriety when you don't want to be. People who have never done drugs, people who've never been addicts, they don't know. They don't know the battle that you're facing and the relief that your substance promises you. They don't know. You know, and since you know, you will always know. And therefore, you will always have the fake promise of relief when hard times come. It will get easier with time. Making the choice to be sober when you don't want to be becomes more habit than doing. It becomes easier. It becomes more separated from who you will be. But it doesn't go away. It hasn't gone away from me. And I'm approaching 9 years of sobriety. And almost every day, I have a thought about it. That's real. And I have to say that so I prepare you. I will not stand here and say, do this and everything will be easy. It will not be. It is hard. You have to choose to accept that challenge if you want to change your life. You don't get to climb for a month, 6 months, a year, 5 years, and then everything magically is okay again. You have to choose to engage yourself in a battle against yourself for the rest of your life. That's how you stay sober. The challenge is not getting to the mountaintop. The challenge is the battle. The challenge is choosing to be in the fight. That is sobriety. That is being sober, being in the fight. It is not once you overcome, you're sober. You can be sober on day 1 as long as you're fighting. And you can be sober on year 85 as long as you're fighting. But if you are not fighting, you are not sober. Sobriety is a fight and a challenge. Choose to embrace, accept, and take on the challenge. Number 4, choose to find your why. Viktor Frankl was a Jewish man living in during the time of the Holocaust, and he actually was a prisoner in the concentration camps. And while he was a prisoner, he took a ton of notes, and he ended up writing a book called Man's Search for Meaning. And throughout this book, the book is trying to explain how people can overcome incredible obstacles, incredible hardships, and survive in a place like a concentration camp. And one thing he says in his book, he says, he who has a reason why to live can bear almost any how. He's saying if you have a why, you can do it. You can overcome. You can persevere through the hardest fight. If you have a why, the greatest temptations that come your way, you can fight through. But you have to have a why, a purpose, something to give you an answer. Up until now, if you're like me, the why of your life has been yourself. Yourself meaning self-pleasure, gratitude, ease, escape. That's been your why. The reason you do things is to gratify that why. Addiction takes root when the why of your life, being self, fails. That's when addiction looks its worst. Because if the mechanism that makes you use a substance is the same mechanism that makes you fight the substance, and the why to use or not is the same why that is used to use or not, addiction will roll you over 5 times again, and you will wonder why nothing has worked yet. Your why cannot come from yourself. It has to be an outside influence. In the book, one of the people that is mentioned in there was a baker. And he was a prisoner in the concentration camp, and his why, his hope per se, was he just wanted to get out so he could bake bread again one day. And that was something that no one could take away from him. No one could take that desire and pleasure that he had just to one day make bread. Everything he went through because he knew if he gets through it, he will one day bake again. You have to have a why like that. And that why has to come from outside of yourself. And it can't be something that can be taken away. If you want to be sober for your life, for getting things better, making things better, having a better life, that might work. But it's not going to last. Because what happens when all of these things that your hope is in can get taken away? If you have wealth, what happens in an economic collapse? If it's health, what happens when you're 90 and dying in a hospital? It can't be something that can be taken away. Your why has to come from outside of yourself, and it has to be dependent on nothing. A number of whys that people use are family, love, goals, and ambitions. I like family. No one can literally make you not family anymore. Nobody can take away what is in your blood. And actually, when people hold on to that blood family, meaning like children or parents, that can work. I have a why that I found actually after I got sober. And my why, some people won't agree with, my why is Jesus. And in my next video, I'm going to take a dive into what that is and why it affects my life and why it is my why. But for now, you have to find your why to fight. You have to look inside yourself and find something that has deeper meaning than pleasure, deeper meaning than satisfaction, deeper meaning than ease and contentment. what is that going to be for you? What are you going to hang on to when everything in your life says to let go? That's the battle of addiction. Everything coming your way, negative and sometimes positive, is going to tell you to let go. It's going to tell you to stop fighting. It's going to tell you using is a way out, and using is something good. Your why has to be stronger than that push. Has to be stronger than what addiction offers. Fake contentment. You will feel content. You will feel happy. But I promise you, it's fake. And it's finite. It will go away when you run out. And then you will start again. For something that's fake, your why is what will remain, and what is not fake. Choose. Every battle with addiction, every person who overcomes addiction, it starts with a choice. Choose to see the problem. Choose to believe in a solution. Choose to take on the challenge. And choose to find your why. That is step one, no matter where you are today. Whether you are sober 10 years, or whether you are on the street with nowhere to go, you have a choice. That is something no one can take away from you. Choose. The battle that you are about to face is a lifetime battle, and it's one that very, very few people choose to engage in. But I promise, in the battle, you will find yourself. You will find satisfaction. You will find meaning. And you will find contentment. Choose. That is the first step. That's going to be part one and step one for today. No matter where you are, no matter what you're facing, I offer you a choice. You might have to choose one heck of a road to get to, even before you think about being sober. But you can make that choice today. And that is step one. I'm praying for you. I'm praying for you to find the why that changed my life. And we'll talk about that soon. But until then, the choice is yours. Thank you.